Today's topic is something very sweet because I'll be talking about honey. And honey is something which is very common nowadays, and we can find it like at every home. And in olden days, actually, our parents or our grandparents used to feed like the kids with honey, like every day with every kinds of meals. So, but nowadays we actually don't feed our kids with much of honey. So today I would be mainly talking about the benefits of honey, and even there are some people who needs to avoid this honey. So welcome back once again to another episode of the channel Wealthy Health. There are some people who take honey instead of sugar or to lose their weight, or they have honey because of its benefits. So honey is a natural sweetener. So it's almost been 1,000 years since human beings started using honey. So before we used to get the natural honey, but nowadays we get the honey which is very artificial. That is what it is sold in the market. So there was recent some researchers, and it said that 80 to 90% of honey which we get from the market is artificial. They do have artificial sweeteners added to it. So what are the benefits of the natural honey? So mainly there are like 10 benefits. So I'll be just giving you out in a point section. So I'll be just pointing you out the 10 benefits of honey. So the first one is that the honey do have antioxidants. So what is antioxidant property? See, there is a free radical injury which can happen in our body, and it further causes diseases like cancer, cardiovascular problems, and even Alzheimer's. So these antioxidants actually prevents this free radical injury. So these antioxidants are something which is present in honey, and this is one of the important benefit of honey. Second one is like if you're having any throat pain or throat infection, honey is a very soothing agent. So when you have honey, it actually cools your throat and it actually reduces the throat itching. The third one is it do have a probiotic property. That means in our gut do have a very good kind of bacteria. There are different kinds of bacteria, but our gut needs good bacteria. So actually when we have honey, it actually maintains the bacteria in our gut, and it improves the overall health of our body. The next benefit is like it's given to the kids, like those who lack energy. It's given to the kids who with lack of energy. So as soon as we give honey, there will be a quick boosting of energy. And the next benefit is like if you're having honey, honey do have a hormone called melatonin, and that is produced. So this hormone is actually important for the sleep cycle. So if the amount of melatonin hormone increases in our body, it actually gives us a good sleep. So then having honey, or the benefit of honey is like it's good for heart, and because of the presence of antioxidant property, and it also improves our immunity power. So how does this improve our immunity power? For example, like if you're taking like 100 gram of honey a day, like one day you're taking like 100 gram of honey, so the energy we receive from that 100 gram of honey is like 300 calories. The carbs we get is 80 grams. The fiber is very little, as 0.1 grams. Protein is very less, that is 0.3 grams, and fat is nil. It is almost to 0 grams. So then we do get some vitamins such as vitamin C. There's a vitamin called thiamine, then riboflavin, then niacin, vitamin B6. So these are some of the vitamins we get from the honey. And even there are some minerals which we get like calcium, iron, magnesium, phosphorus, potassium, sodium, zinc. So these are some of the the minerals we get from the honey. So because of these contents in the honey, or because of these vitamins, or because of this minerals, actually honey, it actually improves our immunity power. So there are many people who have doubt whether we can replace sugar with honey. If you're not having diabetes, like, you can replace sugar with honey. But if you are a person with diabetes, honey also causes a or the glucose spike, and there would be a variation in your blood sugar level. See, the glycemic index of sugar is very high. That's why we ask the diabetic patients not to have sugar. And the glycemic index of honey, like, there are different kinds of honey. So some honey do have a glycemic index of 30, which is very good, and it's good for your health. And some honey do have a glycemic index of, I think, about 80, and that will cause a very good glucose spike. And some of the honey do have a glycemic index of 30, as I've mentioned before. Actually, it is good for our health because the sugar content actually reaches our bloodstream very slowly because the glycemic level is 30. But some honey, which is like artificial kinds of honeys, do have glycemic index of 80, which is very bad. So it comes equally to sugar than the other artificial sugar we have. So that's why we say, if you're a diabetic patient, replacing sugar with honey is of no solution. But if you're not a diabetic solution, if you have a normal sugar range, then it's okay. You can have you can have honey instead of sugar. Okay. As I've mentioned before, like, there are some people who needs to avoid this, taking of honey. The one group of people are those who have allergy, or mainly like the pollen allergy. Those who have like pollen allergy or like allergy to it, like when you're having honey, you might be having some kind of allergies. Those who have this kind of allergy, please do avoid taking honey. And the second one is those who have diabetes, and those who cannot control, those who don't have a controlled level of sugar in their bloodstream should not have the honey. So it is always far better than sugar. Honey is always far better than sugar. But for those who have diabetes, it is not a very good solution. And there are some points you need to keep in mind when we are taking honey. So the first one is, like, when you're buying honey from the market, try to buy the raw honey, because nowadays we get honey from the market and there will be labels written as natural honey, but they add artificial sweetness to it, which is not good for our health. So in the label they might write as natural honey, but they might be adding the artificial sweetness. So when you go to the market, look for the raw honey without any kinds of artificial ingredients in it. And the second one is, another important one which you should keep in mind is, always wash your mouth after taking honey, because we know honey is something which is very sweet. So the sweet content actually remains on our tooth, and it can cause a tooth decay. So to prevent the tooth decay, you should always wash your mouth or just brush your teeth after taking honey. So you can actually ask your kids also to do so, like to wash their mouth after having a spoonful of honey, because that is very sweet and it can cause the tooth decay. And there are some people who actually apply honey on their wounds or even on their burns, because see, if it's raw honey, it's okay to apply it on your wounds or burns, because it actually got some healing properties. So it heals the wounds or the burns very quickly. So it's very good to apply the honey on the wounds or on the burns. But if it is an artificial kind of honey, but we don't know if it's artificial or the raw honey, but it might be the artificial kind of honey, and when we're applying it on our wounds or on our burns, it actually causes some kind of infections too. So always keep in mind, when you're if you're applying it on your wounds or on burns, please check if the honey is raw. Please don't apply the artificial kinds of honey on your wounds or any kinds of burns, because it can cause major infections on your body. See, recently I know, like, people always do take honey along with hot water in an empty stomach early in the morning to reduce their weight. So this is one of the hack they do early in the morning, like in an empty stomach. They do have 1 spoon of honey along with hot water. Please don't do that, because this is someone kind of mistake you're doing. Because as I've told earlier, honey do contains all these kind of vitamins or these kinds of fiber or proteins or the carbohydrates or the kinds of minerals in it. But when you're taking honey along with hot water, it actually loses all these kinds of vitamins and minerals. So there's no use of taking the honey. It's just the sugar you're taking. So it's always better to take honey as the raw honey. Try to take honey as raw, as a spoonful of raw honey, or you can take it with normal water. But don't take honey with the hot water, because it actually loses all its properties, all its kind of vitamins and minerals, and it will be, the remaining part will be just the sugar part, and that is what you're having in an empty stomach, which actually increases the glucose spike, which will causes a glucose spike. So please avoid this mistake, because recently I have seen many videos, many people doing this hack. They say that it's something. Honey is always good for your weight loss, but don't use it along with hot water. I have seen like they mix it with hot water and drink it early in the morning in an empty stomach. But please don't do that. You can drink it along with, you can add it to a normal water, but not to hot water. You can add it to normal, but for which is better is taking the raw honey as itself, as a spoonful of honey, which is very raw. So I hope today's topic about the honey is something very useful, and I hope the things what I've shared with you is something which is very useful for everyone. And keep all the things which I've told you about the things we should keep in mind when you're buying honey, or the things you should maintain when you're using honey, and even about the benefits I have mentioned about honey. And please, especially the people who are having diabetics, please don't use honey as well, because it causes a glucose spike in your body, and it actually and you would be having a variation in your sugar in the bloodstream or the blood level. So I hope this video is something very useful for everyone. So until I come with a new video, everyone take care, bye bye, and have a healthy life.